There's been a concerning trend I've noticed in Wuthering Waves recently, and I wanted to make a video to not only talk about why I think it's a problem, but also some solutions, because complaining is easy, anyone can do that, but I want to be more constructive and at least propose some possible fixes for what I see as an issues. So what do I find so concerning? Since Renacita, they have introduced several new sets, all made with very specific resonators in mind to get the full benefit out of them. Frosty Resolve, that boosts Glacio and Resonant skill damage, that's for Carlotta. Midnight Veil, that boosts Havoc damage, but mainly acts as a support set. Perfect for Rochia. Tie-Breaking Courage, an energy regen set that unlocks its max potential when the resonator has at least 250% energy regen. That's for Brant. Eternal Radiance, that's for Zani and Phoebe, Ghost of Welkin, Shakona, Windward Pilgrimage, Carthea, Flaming Clawprint, Lupa. Sure, it's possible that these new sets can bring some benefit to some of the older characters, like Flaming Claw is alright for Chishia, for example, but the full benefit of this, or any of these new sets, is only really accessed by one, maybe two specific units, before they move on to create a new set for the next new unit. Now, before I continue, I want to say that having tailor-made sets isn't a problem in and of itself. However, the overprevalence of them, combined with a severe lack of new generic sets that can be applied to a wider roster of characters, is somewhat concerning. Something that happened to me quite recently is that they had just introduced the new Aero Erosion set, the Ghost of Welkin, and with two new Aero Erosion based characters, Shakona and Carthea, coming out, I made the, what I believe to be reasonable assumption that this new set would be for both of them. Little did I know that my efforts would be completely wasted when they brought out another Aero Erosion set specifically for Carthea, Windward Pilgrimage. Now, some might say either that I should have waited or that it was my fault for assuming in the first place, but I was just trying to pre-farm the latest Aero Erosion set for the latest Aero Erosion character, which is a reasonable assumption, like I said, and there was nothing mentioned in the livestream nor in any of the promotional material either about these new Sonata sets. So how was I, or anyone who doesn't look at or listen to leaks, supposed to know that they would release a new Aero Erosion set right after they had just released a new Aero Erosion set? And then there'll be others that say I should have just farmed the boxes from 1000 Gateways, which is fair, but takes significantly longer to do each day compared to Tacit Fields, and doesn't benefit from the core cleansing events either, which give you double the amount for your stamina. And then there's the issue of introducing new Sonata sets and Echo types, which completely power creep older sets. Frosty Resolve has completely replaced Freezing Frost, for example, and the new Nightmare Echoes overshadow any of the original versions. So all that time, energy, and limited stamina invested into those sets and echoes feels completely wasted. But they have to introduce new sets for new regions for lore reasons. Like I said, I'm not against new sets, and bringing out a new set every now and then, maybe like 1 or 2 a year or something, is fine and completely understandable. But much like you can farm for the same essential materials in different regions, they can just create new echoes that are on the same sets as those already released. Or they could just create new domains in these new regions with different combinations of possible Sonata sets, much like they did for the Tacit Fields in Huanglong. But this is a game by Kuro Games, and in Punishing Grey Raven, they bring out new memory sets for specific new characters all the time. That's not a problem for PGR because they pretty much don't have any RNG in their memory systems at all, whereas in Wuthering Waves, there is an astronomical amount of RNG baked throughout the ecosystem. Now, I'm not going to go into why I think RNG in stamina-limited equipment systems is a bad idea in this video. You can check out this video here for more information on what I think about that. But the biggest issue in terms of this conversation is that due to this RNG, some players can spend literally months trying to build a single character. And just for clarity, what I mean by build is getting 5 echoes on the correct set with the right main stat and at least 3 highlighted substats, including both crit rate and crit damage at any percent. I'm not talking about like absolute min-maxing here. And while you're busy spending all of your wave plates running Tacit Fields to get more echoes, echo experience, and tuners to build that character, another new character is released 3 weeks later, or 6 weeks if you're pulling for just one character per patch. So then you pull for that character but put them on the back burner while you're still trying to build the first one, or you leave the first one and to build this new character. Either way, it doesn't matter. The result is the same. A constantly growing mountain of unbuilt characters. Usually, I would say new characters aren't new content, but when a large part and draw of this game is the combat and experiencing different combat playstyles of each character, that statement becomes a little less true. It's still true for sure, but just a little less so. And on that point, grinding for new gear definitely isn't content. Whereas some people will say gacha games need RNG on equipment to give players something to do each day. If players build a character too quickly, then they won't continue to play at all. First, this is just telling on yourself, because in many of the longest running and most profitable gacha games out there, you can build a brand new unit in literally the first few minutes of pulling them. You can do it in Fate Grand Order, you can do it in Arknights, and yes, you can do it in Punishing Grey Raven too, among many, many others. If the game has nothing to do each day except dailies and grinding for gear, that's a sign of poor game design, and that isn't a shot at Wuthering Waves specifically, but for any game that this applies to. But even still, daily logins will keep people logging in every day to get the meager amount of premium currency, and the daily quests shouldn't take longer than 5 minutes to do each day. But for players who want to spend more time in the game, there should be more things to do other than just for farming echoes. More exploration challenges, more difficult parkour events, more combat events, or even more stuff like fishing, I don't know. And give these challenges a point to replayability, such as having a claim reward at the end of it that costs stamina in exchange for materials or tuners, or maybe even leaderboards for players to compare themselves with others or something like that. But getting back to Sonata Sets, because that is the point of this video, there are more problems that arise with each new Sonata set they bring out, namely that more Sonata sets means more space being taken up in the inventory when farming for them. Sure, you could batch merge them, but that function is clunky and takes way too long to process a bag full of useless echoes, because when you do batch merge them, you get a random assortment of new echoes from every Sonata set in the game, and when you add more Sonata sets, you further increase the amount of RNG on this function too. And then after you've merged them, you have to spend time opening and closing each echo to see if they have the right main stat for their particular set too. A possible solution to this would be to allow you to choose 2 tacit fields from which the batch merge will generate echoes from, so a total of 4 possible Sonata sets instead of the 17 that we currently have now. On top of that, I think they could implement something like a little icon to show what the main stat is without opening it, or implement a hover zoom function so you don't have to click in and out at the very least. And seeing as this is the only real way to effectively trash echoes, I think this function needs to be updated significantly, because let's face it, no one is really using the trash echoes function because you get nothing out of it, making it effectively pointless. But on that note, why not give the trash echoes function a point? I still firmly believe that unleveled echoes should give some amount of echo experience. I've heard some people say that 1 gold echo should give 1 gold tube. Possibly, but that might make things a little too easy, so how about this? 1 gold echo gives 1 green echo tube worth 500 experience, 2 for a blue tube, 4 for a purple tube, and 10 gold echoes give 1 gold echo tube. That would at least make use of all the trash echoes that I end up collecting, because it would give us players the choice of whether to either recycle the echoes for more echoes or echo experience to level those echoes that we just got. Side note on the point of overworld echo farming. Farming for specific sets in the overworld is pretty tiring when you can only track one specific tacit discord at a time. Sometimes I do one run around the entire map for a certain echo, then do nearly the exact same run to get the other ones that were nearby but just a little out of line of sight. A fix for this would be to allow us to select multiple tacit discords to track, and it guides us to whichever one is closest to the player at that time. How about this? Allow us to track the entire Sonata set, except for bosses, because they refresh instantly. And when tracking the entire Sonata set, it tracks all tacit discords that have a chance to drop that certain set. I think that could work too. And the reason why I think this would be a good idea to implement changes like this, and to tie it back to my original point, is that when they do introduce a new Sonata set, going out and farming for it could be made a little easier and feel less like a chore, even if but a little. I'm not saying they need to include the things that I listed, and if I don't get what I said, then I'm not going to be happy. No, that's not what I'm saying. These are just examples and possible solutions. But I am saying that there needs to be more to these games than just pulling for characters and grinding for stamina limited gear, especially that second one. I hope Kuro lays off releasing new Sonata sets for a while and focuses on bringing out characters that work well with the current sets. And if you disagree with me about the current ecosystem or any of my possible solutions, that's perfectly fine. I would love to hear what you think are the problems in Wuthering Waves for you, and how you would go about solving those problems too. Let me know down in the comment section below. So until next time, I will see you in the next video. Peace.